So the next thing, I really want to talk about this book I read. I don't know if I really want to talk about it. I feel like I do. I feel compelled. I feel compelled to talk about this book I read recently, and it's called "Come with Me" by Ronald Malfi. It's a 2021 release, and it concerns the life and times of a man. It just feels like it just trails off there. No, the story is about a guy named Aaron Decker. Weird name. I hate that name. I don't know why, and I'm sorry. It's such a nitpick, but I hate it. But Aaron Decker's wife was recently murdered in a shooting, and she fucking died, and that's so sad. She was a real hero. Everyone liked her, but he soon discovers that she had like a secret second life where she was doing stuff and not telling about him and him about it. And they'd been married for like 5 years at the time. And the story is basically him retracing the steps of an investigation he finds that she's been doing for the last like 10 years or something like that. I don't know. It's forever. She's been doing it forever. So let me just tell you right now, spoilers. Don't listen to this if you don't want to hear spoilers. This is more of a review for people that may have also read it. I can say at the start of my review, it is a mid book. It is so strikingly mid. You could or could not read it, and you would gain or lose nothing from it. I think it's a novel that was created in the grand tradition of airplane novels, where it is so inoffensive that you might finish it. No one could be possibly thrown by this book. It covers no new ground. It covers no subject matter that's not covered better by other books or by other people. And it does not have any moments which are so unique to it that I can say, like, well, for this one thing at least, make sure you check it out. And hey, the guy's got a lot of other books. Maybe some of his other ones are better. I don't know. I definitely looked him up on the Wikipedia, and this is not one of the book titles in his bookography. His bibliography. Bookography still makes sense because biblio is just fucking book in other languages. Like, how about his bookography? Bookography. His bibliography. This one does not have a blue link to a further explanation of the book, so I guess not even his publisher gave a fuck enough to try to update the Wikipedia about the rest of these entries. Which, hey, I don't even have a Wikipedia. I'm not famous. Make fun of me too. I'm still punching up, baby. I'm punching up at a fucking big 4. I think this one ran out through Penguin. I don't know, and I don't care. But Malfi's book is it's crushingly dull. I think one of the things I hated most about this is just the fact that it is directly made as a letter, functionally speaking. We're going to get into spoilers here going forward. It's written as a letter by the main character to his now deceased wife. So there's a lot of like you, which is it's a device that I really can't get behind. It's kind of distracting. I don't know who fucking writes letters anymore. And this does take place in the modern era, at least post 2000s. And it is just, it's not wonderful. It is a distant second person you from somebody that doesn't know that much about somebody, but also is like very involved in their life. I don't know. I think as a narrative device, it was supposed to really highlight how much this guy didn't know about his wife, and kind of maybe lead you into it. But the problem is this guy is potentially the most not a husband I've ever seen in any media, including real life. My man is some bullshit. My man really, he feels like a stalker that knew, if it would have turned out by the end that he was a stalker that just knew the lady really well and lived across the street, it would make more sense about how much he knew about her life and like the shit that went on with it. And A lot of it comes down to execution. I'm not saying that this kind of character is impossible. That I know that there's people that are married to their significant others, and they live different lives and stuff. But also, I have experienced conversations with people that went through stuff like that, either through reiteration or even actually just talking to them in certain cases. And it was always like, it's never like the guy that was hiding the stuff from them for 10 or 15 years was never hiding it so well that it's like a sudden big revelation. Usually a lot of it's like not participatory on the part of the person that was being deceived, but they kind of let it go because they were either too scared or really badly gaslit. And this doesn't quite come out in this story the way that I would prefer, or not the way that I would prefer it did, just in a way that really like made sense to me. Like the whole time Aaron is just kind of like mulling over stuff, and it starts with his immediate existence after her death. You know, we buried you in September. I will say I listened to this on audiobook. I can't remember who narrated it. He was the perfect narrator for this, in that his voice is also kind of twerpy. If he's an actor and he read this story and was just like, this is Aaron Decker's voice, my man, you nailed it. You were a pain in the ass to listen to a degree, but that was just because you were in character. Aaron Decker is a secondary character in some other more important person's book, which is very explicitly kind of put into play there. So, you know, I think that telling the story from his first person narration to a second person in the form of a letter really was just too much. It was fucking exhausting. Decker is whiny. He's a small, twerpy guy, which is fine, but he knows he's small and twerpy and lame, and so he's always talking about how he's small and twerpy and lame, and people are commenting on how he's a fucking dweeb and shit. It's just, ugh. If this would have been in third person, it would have been so much better. Infinitely better. He's just not interesting enough as a person to really carry the narrative from his own perspective. So a thing that you have to do whenever you have something written in first person, if you want it to be good, the way that person communicates has to justify two things: an ability to actually communicate any of the information to you at all, especially if this is a record of something. So, you know, hey, is this a letter? In this case, it sort of is. Is this, a recording? Is it this? And like, this is how you got to it, you know, or even, you know, how you didn't get to it. It doesn't really matter, you know. I guess a message in a bottle that's never found will still have the entire message on it, but him creating it has to make some sort of sense. You know, I am making a record, I am writing this thing, and so it has to be constrained within those limits to some degree, even if it's just in this case literally his own description of his memories to his dead wife after his death. That's the end of the book. Fuck, goddamn, I hate it. I'll get to that. And also in the second portion of what it has to do is it has to explain how the person communicates so well on a creative front, right? How do they know things? How do they understand things? And it doesn't have to necessarily explain it, but in their own writing, you have to be kind of made clear that they talk a certain way. You know, if this is all from the perspective of a guy that works as a janitor in a grade school, right? Actually, how about that? He works as a maintenance specialist in a sewage plant. It's extremely specific, right? So you can say like, okay, so he did a little bit of college, right? So I mean, if this dude just went and he did a technical skill 4 years, unless he has something that brought him really close to literature in general, and I know this personally from knowing people in the blue collar space, motherfuckers don't know all kinds of fucking goofy ass words. and descriptions and shit. All right, they unless it's about their stuff, they talk. People talk in certain ways, and it's usually relative to their interests. If you don't have an interest specifically in books, you're probably not going to do a bunch of booky similes and stuff and be like, is an orange red sunset. Motherfuckers that live in that world would be like, yeah. So I left around like 5, and I could barely see because the sun was like right at the horizon. I remember like I almost missed a stoplight because the stoplight was directly behind the sun, and you can kind of like establish times of day and what was going on, and like maybe even the time of year to a degree. Like, oh, okay, well, the sun was setting when this guy got off work at 5. Those specific things have to be in there, and you have to be a good enough author to write around them. That's the hard part about it. If you want to have a story and communicate all of this like data about somebody, you as the creator have to fucking go real hard above and then get into it down low in order to justify it. The easy way to get around that is to have your fucking character that's a first person narrator be some sort of writer or somebody that's in the in a creative field that brings them close to extremely high level English and a very large bibliography in their back catalog. So why do all these writers that write first person stories write as writers? And that's the fucking reason. In our case, my man has got basically the trifecta of lazy first person character creation. He is not a writer, but he translates novels from Japanese into English or from English into Japanese. One of those directions, possibly both. It doesn't matter. He reads a lot. Also, this means that he has a extremely work from home type environment, so it gives him a lot of free time. Sorry, that's the third thing. But that's more of a plot constraint. When your character has to do stuff during random times of the day, why can they do that? Oh, he's a cop because he can go wherever he wants at any given time because cops have the most freedom of travel and they also work weird hours. Or B, he's a writer or a newspaper reporter or maybe like a lawyer because those people, they have like specifically I leave during the day jobs. That's why you don't see a lot of fucking factory workers and auto mechanics and honestly like teachers and stuff starring in these stories because either they don't have access to the information to like let me just paint with all the colors of the wind in my prose. Or like they're going to be stuck at work all day and I specifically need this dude to walk into a bar at like 2 p.m. so that it's empty. So there you go. So this guy hits the trifecta. He's an effete academic who has access to a lot of English skills and interesting weird people via his wife's fucking thing. So he's just set up for success. Plenty of free time. Fucking hate this guy. He is dull and like weirdly sex focused. This is a 10-hour novel. Literally, I listened to this between the first and second books of the Stormlight Archive from Brandon Sanderson, which are 45 hours or whatever a piece. This one's 10 or 12, something like that. So it's a short book. Realistically, to page count, that would equal to probably like a 60K to an 80K if I had to guess, which is a book that's about that thick or roughly the size of like the first Harry Potter novel. There you go. So this is a pretty standard size. I call these junkers. It's just the fucking random novels that get put out in the space nowadays. You see them everywhere. They come in 5x7. They're about 3/4 of an inch thick. They're very approachable. They basically have to have an extremely interesting premise or nobody's going to read them because inside a lot of the times the actual execution and the quality is trash. Mexican Gothic, for instance, got on literally by the strength of its title alone and everything inside was fucking dirty water garbage, which, that's on the other side of the purchase, so they don't give a fuck. And if that's the one time everybody buys a fucking book from that person, then the publishing company made their money back. You want to be just successful enough that everybody's not going online and being like, hey, this thing that everybody blew up is actually trash. Like, no. Then you always get some fans. So it is what it is. But yeah, it's kind of a junker. And the story's meh. I mean, it's everything you've ever seen from a going and retracing another investigation thing. If you watched Twin Peaks again, you would get the same experience, but you would also be watching Twin Peaks. The guy finds a box of shit or something like that at his wife's house, and he discovers her notes. And the notes have some really interesting things. There's some good setups. I'm saying it's mid. I'm not saying the book is trash. Like, it's not fucking absolute garbage, but it's just mid. This is like the most interesting stuff. Is there's like a little phrase in there that says "gas head will make you dead." There's these rectangle things that might mean something, and that's kind of connected to some notation. And there's a handful of clues to be resolved throughout the story. Cool. We go to multiple different places. Our writer and therefore our character are both from like Maryland. I think this dude is from like fucking Annapolis. East Coast bullshittery is all over this novel. Mr. Malfi, if you ever read this, get out more, my man. I don't know if it's directly to the characters. It's one of the reasons that the character really irritated me. And if you don't, it's definitely a check your privilege. There is a very upper middle class man being very nervous around blue collar people in very tame settings. There's a lot of fucking once it's time for anybody it's in Maryland and also in like Appalachia and a little bit North Carolina. Once anybody from Appalachia or North Carolina starts talking, I don't know about that. Fucking, like, I can almost feel like the wrong accents being like, well, I say, I'm from Charleston, West Virginia. Like, oh, you are? That's your accent from Charleston, West Virginia? Well, I don't know. I feel like I might be from Huntington, West Virginia. What? If you don't, oh my god, those fucking accents. Dude, I'm gonna be fucking trash at accents in my next season of my podcast that I'm making. But I digress. It's just rough. It's rough. Every woman in this is pretty as soon as they're useful. Women will be a scene from a distance. She was old. She looked old. Her face, or no, she looked hot from a distance. But the closer I got, the older her face looked. Until I realized I was looking at an old woman with the soul of a hot girl. That's how you know she's gonna be really smart. The waitress that I met earlier, I thought she would be kind of trashy, but then she showed up and she was hot and she had important things for me to say. All the ladies in this foreign area are foreign to me in fucking suburban Maryland. All the ladies are hot and all the dudes are scary. Oh my god, dude. But I mean, the whole fucking book is laced with that bullshit. I think multiple characters try to fuck our dude in a book that is only fucking 10.5 hours long, 12 hours long, whatever. My main character gets laid like 3 times pointlessly and has to turn down sex with a hot younger lady at least one time because he's so heartbroken over his wife. Oh no. Fucking lady. This is literally also, and I was walking in my car and I was going, what the fuck? The reason he talks to this hot chick is because she was almost abducted and raped and fucking murdered by this guy that he thinks is a serial killer that he's stalking. She just recounts her fucking near murder, which is really intense for her, kind of scary, you know? And she's like, damn, well, now that I've done talk to that, do you want to fuck guy I just met? Which isn't the rarest thing in the world, you know what I mean? But like, my man threw up no signals. It wasn't like, hey, you know, I'm out here looking for love kind of thing. Shit. I guess, I don't know. It has to have happened to somebody. Somebody got, you know, fucked by a stranger that they just met a couple days ago and interviewed about a murder. I guess over dead wife sympathy. I don't Oh my god. And then he's like fucking his wife in like 3 other scenes in the past thing. It's like, One of them, I think, has like something to do with the plot, and his wife is like tying him up and trying some BDSM and not being very like safe word about it. And that was like, he's like, that was one of the more dangerous things she's done. And I was like, oh, that's actually like, my man, you actually got sexually assaulted. I don't know if you know that, but it's not okay if your wife does that. This kind of gets me into the fucking relationship between him and his wife is just not great. I don't know exactly. I feel like there's something missing in it, you know. And if you want to try to blame me, no, fuck that. There's no way I was like listening to this on audiobook and missing anything. I think it was just fucking boring as shit. Because I can remember every goddamn thing that's happened in the Stormlight archives, and I've listened to 95 hours of it over the past few weeks, and it's great, unironically. Oh yeah, Aaron Decker and his wife's relationship is just boogers, man. It's just boogers. It's not an interesting relationship at all. It's not like I don't give a fuck about these people. Toward the end of this, like I just don't. She is perfect and wonderful, and like all of her, she's like every girl in a fucking pop song, like an emo song. She's like on a level wonderful, but all of her flaws are actually things that also make her cool. Like she's actually violent to like people that beat her up when she was a kid, and like sometimes she gets really dedicated to revenge. Like, okay, what the fuck? She had like this was the first time I saw the secret violence that lived inside you, and I didn't know what to feel like that. And that's how it's fucking like portrayed. The whole thing feels like kind of. It feels like couples therapy that you're sitting on that is for a guy that was like the relationship is for a stalker that is not even like dedicated enough to like stalk the woman, and like the woman didn't show up because she didn't know she was in the relationship is what it feels like the whole time. They don't have any chemistry off screen. A lot of the memories of her are like plot relevant, or you know they're just like little scene setting kind of things, and like they just don't slap at all. And yeah, there's not much to say about it because like I just wanted more. I mean, just fucking make the novel longer. And honestly, if it would have been in third person, and you know like we would have just gotten more not somewhat unreliable narrator reflection of like who she was. Like there's just no good ground point to kind of figure out who these characters are. So they all end up like milk. Every character in this is just fucking milk poured into the same bucket just to make a big bucket of milk. And the milk is warm, and it's not warm because it's fresh. It's warm because it got left out and you don't know if it's going to stink soon, but you have to drink all of it because you rented it from the library. I think like by the end you do get some good moments, right? The fucking killer is, of course, like the first hillbilly he meets going into the fucking show. He goes and stays at a hotel, and it's like one of the first people. You are like all mysteries. You do have an economy of bad guys, and I honestly would not mind a bad guy that nobody expected yet. Although it's really doesn't happen in things, but like you get your most likely suspect, then you get your red herring suspect. And then you get your guy who was the guy all along you saw earlier on. You know what I'm saying? And he's just like some fucking guy. And there is like this whole gas head thing. And like that kind of comes up. And that's kind of creepy. And the gas head thing is kind of cool. It's like this gas monster dude who's like the spirit of some miners that died in a fire. And like there's still gas leaks in this cave. And if you go there, gas head'll get in your head and make you do crimes and shit. And this guy's like, I got it in me, blah, 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 blah. But whatever. I don't know. The final interaction between Aaron and the killer is dog shit. It's fucking every goddamn fucking supervillain of the week thing. Like Venture Brothers would make fun of it. I'm rewatching Venture Brothers right now, and it is like a Venture Brothers grade like cliche. Oh, you got to explain your entire plan. Why? You could just shut the fuck up. Like literally, the guy gets caught, and he doesn't even really get caught. There's no proof that he did the things. Like the closest proof I think that they find at the end is that ultimately you find out all these girls that were killed over like whatever 20 years or some stupid shit were in a fucking, they all went to the same summer camp, right? Which nobody put together yet because cops are incompetent, which I agree. But like when he gets confronted with it, he just starts fucking blabbing about it. This is not only did I kill them, this is why I killed them. I'm pretty sure this is how I remember it. I would love to be proven wrong, but I was like so checked out of the novel by the time I got to that part. And I had to rewind the Audible a few times because like which I do constantly because I think I missed something, and I go back and I was like, what? And I was like, oh, okay, so there wasn't. All right, that's it. Time to start unraveling my whole plan. Why can we not? Why, anybody out there, if you're a fucking writer and you're going to be bigger than me, that's fine. I don't give a fuck. If you're going to be smaller, it doesn't matter. It's okay for murderers to not admit shit. A lot of them don't right away. They lie, and they're not going to admit it to just a random person that's there. I've done it before. But I did it one time, and now I swear to God I'll never do it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens so much. There's no reason for that person to say all of the stuff. And it's just fucking irritating. He just blurted out, and it all gets blurted out, you know, and it's done. And then, like, we don't even have to go through a trial or a crime. It all gets wound up nicely. The guy just fucking gets killed by Decker, and the story part ends, I guess. And it's over. Fucking fine. And then you get your after effects, and they're like, oh, we looked up all the ladies, and these people were happy that I did get involved in a closed police investigation, and this one cop got fired because he mishandled it. He's the guy from earlier that was kind of like maybe leaning on me to not do that. And you're like, I don't think that guy would get fired in real life. I don't think in real life that guy would get fucking fired at all. Oh, no, he might. Because I think they framed a dude for whatever, and then the guy like killed himself or something in prison. I don't know. Yeah, that dude might get fired. Really depends. And he's a dude. I mean, the guy's like, I think the guy that gets in trouble is like a sheriff in a rural part of West Virginia, like just a random, like fucking, I don't know, Monongahela County or something. I don't know, Monongahela, I think, is actually fucking nice. I think they're literally in Harper's Ferry during this because obviously this guy's from Maryland and he is not going deeper into fucking West Virginia. It's like it gets set in fucking war, West Virginia. They're not going down. They're not going down to fucking Welch, West Virginia for this. My man is a writer from Maryland, okay? Like, he drinks in D.C. area. He goes to parties. He's a fucking published author. My man's not going past fucking Harper's Ferry. I say that very strictly, unless the place that he mentioned is an actual part of West Virginia that I don't know, that it just sounds exactly like Harper's Ferry. They describe it and they're like, yeah, this used to be a really big town. It's still kind of here. It's set up on a hill and there's a ferry right next to it. And it used to be a munitions depot during the American Revolutionary War. And you're like, okay. Is it really cute and it's like still kind of touristy but not too touristy, and a little just a touch, just hillbilly enough that you don't feel like you're gonna get mugged? I'm being an asshole at this point. It's just fucking dull. It's dull as dishwasher. It ends up all the same possible ways. And you know, like, I guess maybe I'm being too hard about the guy just admitting everything, but I wish there would be dudes that are just like, all right, yeah, cool, whatever. I don't give a shit. Like, leave my house. Because that's it. Literally, like, in real life, they probably just kick you out. Like, he doesn't have any authority. He's just a gun. But yeah, they do the follow-ups, and then they talk to, you get to see, like, what became of the other people in the story, like, really quick. This guy did that. And nobody does anything fucking particularly interesting, which is actually what happens in real life. Everybody just continues going to Kroger and shopping, like, once a week, you know, and seeing, like, whatever Marvel movie came out that year. It's not a big deal. But he gets fucking shot in like the last scene and dies because the wife of the guy who did the murders is butthurt that he found out her husband did the murders, and then also like he killed him, maybe in cold blood. They don't investigate because obviously like he gets friended up with the cops and they hold out for him, so it's some bullshit. I digress. Yeah, and then it ends. And so that's Come With Me by Ronald Malfi. I mean, ultimately, man, what a fucking it's a dull fucking story, dude. It is painfully boring at times. There's some really interesting parts which kind of keep you going on. But everything else, I mean, you could read this or you could read anything else on Earth. If you like Ronald Malfi, like you should just look him up and be like, hey, I think I actually do like this guy. I like the cut of his jib. Then you can just give him $20 you would have done with any other book on Earth, and you'll get the same experience. It's extremely fucking mid. I will say at the end of this, and if this is like a comment that somebody is like planning on making in regards to this, I know you see it in the afterword or whatever. Malfi dedicates this book and did to a degree base it on the death of a woman that he knew that was a close personal friend of him that died like the wife in the book does. She was shot during a mass shooting by some incel fuck that his girlfriend broke up with him, and she just fucking went and killed some people, and she gets shot in the head and dies. His real life friend died that way, and I guess he dedicated this to it and, based it off of it. So like, I know that, and in parting, it does not change in any way, shape, or form my opinion of this book. I'm not going to be like mean about it or anything, but it was added there, and I'm just saying that I heard. The book's great. Stance, I would give this like a solid like 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 tops. Fucking mid as fuck. Mid as fucking for some reason like really irritating to me because I just didn't like the main character so much that every time I talk about this book, I hear his voice in my head, and I get bitter about his existence anywhere inside the American literary canon. Like I just fucking hate that Aaron Decker is out there. Well, actually, at least he died at the end of the book, I guess. I don't know, but fuck him. Fuck that character. Yeah, Ronald Malfi. 5 out of 10. Come with me. That's it, man. Stay safe out there.